Hey guys, what's up? Yeah, I didn't upload a video for a long time because my laptop hard disk was crashed and I was shifting to a new home and a lots of things was there. So I'm back with a new tutorial. I had a huge response in the face recognition video, so I thought I should add something more to this series. In the previous videos, what we did, we actually hard-coded the names for the users. Like for the ID1, I used my name. For ID2, I used Obama. So, but what if you want to recognize thousands of people's face? So for that you need a database. And in this video, I will integrate Sqlite and will get the names and the details of the user from the database. Let's see. So you can see there's no, all these details are there, and none of the details are hard coded. Here it is getting from the database Sqlite 3, and you can add as much people you want in the database. So let's get started. Now go to your project folder, and as my previous hard disk was crashed, so I had to rewrite everything. So it might be different from yours, so you don't have to worry about that. Just copy the face recognition folder and paste it same, rename it Sqlite, and done. We have to edit this detector and the dataset generator, but before that we need another software called Sqlite Studio. So open your Google Chrome, type Sqlite Studio and open this link. Go to downloads and choose whatever OS you are using. So after you have downloaded it, you will see you have to extract it. This one, extract it. You'll get this folder and you have to open this kit. You have to open this exe. This will open up your Sqlite Studio. Now you just created that our working folder, and here we have to create a database. So to create a database, you need to click here. This one will create the database. Name it, let's say, FaceBase. Okay, and okay, you have to click here, and that will bring you to this browse window, and select the folder you just created and name it here FaceBase, or whatever you want to do, whatever you want to name the file. I'm naming it FaceBase and click OK. This will create a database from here. And now in SQL database, everything is a table. You want to store the people's details, you have to create a table for the people. Expand this FaceBase, you will see a table tab. Click there and click create a new table. Now name the table here. Let's say name it persons or people. Okay, and you need to create columns for the tables. So the columns are the data you want to store, means the type of data you want to store here. So we want to store the ID of the person, and ID has to be unique, so that it is a primary key. Primary key is something that will identify that particular person in the entire database. So make it primary key, and it has to be not null, it cannot be blank. So click this one also. And another thing, the data type we are storing is integer, here the ID, and click OK. So one field is there. We need another field for the name. Data type, let's say string, and it is not a primary key because two people can have same name, so it doesn't have to be unique, and but it has to be not null. A user cannot have a blank name, or cannot have a okay, you got it. And you can add extra columns like age. Data type is integer. It can be null because if we don't want it to put some data, we can do it. And you can okay, click OK. And if you want, you can put a default value there. Okay, no, don't make it complicated. Okay. Age, another table, gender, make it text, create another table. Let's say it's a police database, so criminal records. It's also a text. So now I think that will be enough for now. Let's save it. Okay, and you see commit changes and the table people created successfully. To see the data in the table, click the data tab here, and now you see a table here. You can create a new row and add values like this. Okay, and you can create another data, let's say 2, or I let it and age is, I don't know what is, 50 or whatever it is, I don't know. Top, okay, now you can save it, but we don't want to save these data by ourselves. We want to do it by the dataset creator, which is this script. This script will add these data automatically while we are running the dataset generator. Okay, so we don't want to save this. Let's delete it, and okay, let it be like this. Now you see the face-based database db file is right there, just we created now. Now let's open the IDLE, or the dataset generator. Here we were creating the dataset. We need ID. The mandatory fields are, we need ID and name because those are mandatory, that cannot be null. The other details we can add it later by using this Sqlite Studio Lite. So we need a name also. You can directly copy it from here, and we will ask this name. Now we have to have a method, we have to have a function which will connect to this database, this face-based DB file, and which will add new columns, new data, new rows to this database or to this table. For that we need another function. Let's call it insert or update, and we need ID and the name for that. Why insert or update? You can make it whatever you want. The name, I named it because if the data is already there, then we will update the existing one, or if it is not there, we will insert it. So the name is kind of suitable. Now first thing is we have to connect to the database. So con equals, we have to create a connection variable. This is, let's name it con Sqlite 3, and before using this Sqlite 3 we need to import the library, which is inbuilt library of Python. No need to download it, Sqlite 3, and we can now use it. Dot connect, give the name of the database, which is here, .db, and we have a connection. Now we have to execute a command to see whether the ID we are providing is already existing in the database or not. So to do that we need a command string which will execute inside the database. So in SQL, to get something you need to do a select command, which is something like this: select star from the table name, which is people. Select star means it will return you all the columns, or if you want only ID column, then you can do it like this: select ID from people, that will return you only the ID. And if you want another column, you can add the name, select, and it's not case sensitive, so you can have it like this also, doesn't matter. Select ID and name, this will return only these two columns. So if you want all the columns, you can add star here. So select star from people, and if you want to filter the result based on some column, you can add it like this, where, and again it's not case sensitive, you can do it like this, but it's not preferable, where ID equals this ID, so plus str ID. So it will return you only those rows whose IDs are matching with the ID we provided. So it will only return one row because the ID is a primary key and unique, so it will only give you one single row. So now we have to execute this command. So to execute this command, we have a method called execute. Give the command here, and it will return a cursor. Okay, so what this cursor will do, it will give you row by row details. So first it will return one row, and if there is another row, it will return the second row, and likewise. So if there is a data already existing in the database, ID already existing in the database, we have to create a flag to check that it is existing. Is record exist, equals 0. We'll initializing it to 0, and if there is any row in the cursor, then it will execute this loop. So if there is any row, even a one single row in the cursor, this loop will execute, and we can set this flag as 1. And if there is no row in the cursor, mean there is no data, that means this loop will not execute. So this flag will never set to 1. So now that we know that the ID is already in the database or not, based on that we can create our new command, which will determine, let's say if the ID is there, means the ID is present in the database, we will update the database. So we need an update command. So to create an update command, it starts with update the table name, which is people, and we are setting the column name to the name we just provided in the method, like str, the name here, and again we need to filter if we don't filter, it will set all the rows names as the name we provided. So we need to specify which row it has to update. So for that we need to add the filter, where id equals plus str id. So now it's complete. Let's keep a space there, and done. So this is our update command. So let's create our insert command if the record doesn't exist. So for the insert command, insert people, insert into people, and we want to insert only the ID and the name. So we are specifying the columns here, and we have to specify the values separately. Values are here, we have to add the ID, which is str ID, and plus a comma, and again plus the name. Name there, and we have to close this bracket here. So to close the bracket, plus this bracket, and done. So we have created the insert command. Now we just have to execute it. So the connection dot execute. This time we don't need a cursor, but because we are not reading it, we are inserting or updating the data, so we don't need to have any written data from the database. We are not expecting any written data from the database. So this is done, and at the end we need to commit the changes, otherwise it will not be permanent. And we have to close the connection, and done. This will take care of the inserting or updating. So after we get the name and the ID, we can use this method to create a record in the database. Let's ID is here, name will go here, and our detector is done. Let's run the detector, test it, and let's see. In my data set, let's delete everything and let's run the data. ID is 1, name is, and another thing is, while you are giving the name, you need to include the quotation mark, otherwise it will not take it as string. So I think it got the data, and if we check the database, if we refresh it, here we got the ID and name also, and the other details we will add those later. Okay, let's minimize it, and now we have to get to the detector. Edit it. In this part we were hard coding the values, but this time we will add a method function which will get the data from the database instead of hard coding it. So let's name it get profile, and we are searching by the ID number for the people, because the recognizer will return you the ID. Now same goes here, Sqlite 3 dot connect and the name of the file, and you have to import the library also. Okay, so after connection, this time we only need the select command because we are searching for the data. So let's create a command string, select star from people where ID equals to the ID we provided. The command string is ready. Let's create a cursor. Con.execute, and this will execute the command string. And after this, there can be two possibilities. Either the data is not in the database, or it will return a single row which with the profile of the user. So let's create a profile variable, and we are going to initialize it with none, and let's create the loop with the row in cursor, and if there is a row, we are setting this row to this profile. And okay, so after that we got the result, close the connection, and now we can return the profile variable, and done. So we are good here. We can remove this part. We can now add this line here, profile equals to get profile with the ID we just got, and after we got the profile, we have to check if it is none or not. If profile not equals none, then only we will add the text on the screen. So this is our text, and instead of the ID we are now going to use the profile. For the name, if you see here, this is the 0th column, 1, 2, 3, 4. So for the name we need column number 1. So it's 1. Okay, sorry. And it is starting, the text is showing at y plus height at something offset value. You can add and for the age, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4 data and 4 text, and if we add it like this, it will be all that text will overlap with each other. So we need an offset in the height in the y direction. So let's add 50 more, 30 more to this data. Then it will be 60. This will be 90. This will be 120. And this one will be 2, 3, 4. So let's run this. And one more thing is, let's make sure that, okay, so if we now check it, for some reason, do I got an error? Yeah, I got an error. Argument to where I got the error. In line number 2 must be a string, not okay. It has to be a string, so we have to convert it to string. Let's convert it to string. So this will convert the data to string. Let's run it again. So now you can see that it's showing my name and other stuffs are all done because we haven't inserted those data yet. Let's insert it, 22, and if we save it now, you will see got it 22. M and criminal record. I'm not going to tell you my criminal record. And let's save it. Okay, so like this we can add more data and we don't have to worry about the hard coding it to inside the code. We can directly add it in the database. By the way, I'm using IP webcam using with my mobile, which is acting like a webcam to me, wireless webcam. If you want a video on this, just tell it in the comment section. Yo!